Let's start with new chapter, our environment. The environment means everything that surrounds us. Now students, since these two important terms we are going to use all through our chapter, let me revise it for you. Students, physical environment is a biotic or non-living environment. It includes all the factors, that is physical factors that surround any living organism. While biological environment is living environment, which includes animals or bacteria surrounding any particular organism. Now, all living organisms' life is regulated by environment, and in turn, they also influence the environment around them. Humans are also an integral part of same environment. Changes in the environment affect human life. Vice versa, human activities affect the environment around them. Thus, the environment with all its components is a vibrant and delicate balance. So we need to think twice before doing anything that would disturb the delicate balance between environment and its various components. So now since we know that maintaining the balance between environment and its component is very important. What if this balance is disturbed? What if human activities are the cause for this disturbance? Let us see one of the disturbance created by human activities and its effect on environment. So in this video, let us learn one of the effect of our activities on environment around us, which is the depletion of ozone layer. But before learning how ozone gets depleted, let us see what is ozone layer. Ozone, also represented O3 symbolically, is a molecule formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. While oxygen gas, that is O2, is essential for all aerobic life forms for respiration, ozone is deadly poisonous gas. But students, have you ever thought how this ozone gets formed in the atmosphere? Pause the video, take a minute and think about it. Let me tell you, ozone is formed from oxygen molecule itself. Ozone at the higher levels of atmosphere is formed because of UV radiation acting on oxygen molecule. The higher energy UV radiations split apart some molecular oxygen, O2, into free oxygen atoms. These atoms then combine with molecular oxygen to form ozone, O3, as shown on your screen. The ozone concentration in atmosphere naturally fluctuates depending on seasons and latitudes. Yes, students, you heard it right. The concentration of ozone in atmosphere is not fixed. It varies with various factors. At the higher levels of atmosphere, ozone performs an essential function of shielding the surface of Earth from ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun by forming a layer called as ozone layer. Atmospheric ozone is sometimes also called as good ozone because of its protective role against UV rays. Confused? Just before few seconds I said ozone is dangerous and now we said ozone is good. Let us understand. The atmospheric ozone is a good ozone because it protects Earth from UV rays of sun. But ozone present on ground level is different from tropospheric ozone, which is present in higher atmosphere, because ozone present at ground level is dangerous if inhaled by humans or any living organism, and thus it is also called as bad ozone. It is also a key component of air pollution. So now students, after knowing about ozone layer, let's see how it is getting depleted. Students, note one very important point. that here depleted word means to exhaust, to get lesser and lesser in concentration. Well, it all started from 1980s. The amount of ozone in atmosphere began to drop sharply after 1980s. This decrease has been linked to synthetic chemicals like CFCs, called as chlorofluorocarbons. At the time, CFCs were commonly used in aerosol sprays and as coolants in many refrigerators. As these CFCs reach stratosphere, the sun's UV rays break them down into substances that include chlorine. After this, chlorine gets separated from these compounds and forms chlorine radical. These chlorine radicals are extremely reactive and have high capacity to break ozone molecules. Do you know, students, one chlorine radical can destroy more than 1 lakh ozone molecules, eradicating ozone much more quickly than it can be replaced. And thus, this depleting concentration of ozone creates a hole in a layer of ozone. Here, the hole is not actually a kind of hole that we see in a cloth or in a paper. It actually means an area of stratosphere with extremely low concentrations of ozone that reoccurs every year at the beginning of southern hemisphere spring, that is between August to October. Spring brings sunlight which releases chlorine into stratospheric clouds, and thus destruction of ozone molecules starts. But do you know, students, these ozone holes are specific characteristics seen only at poles or hemispherical ends of Earth. This is because the thickness of ozone layer is not uniform around the Earth. It is thick at equator, indicating more concentration of ozone, while the layer is thin at poles, indicating low concentration. Thus, effects of CFCs is prominently seen in these regions. In 1987, the United Nations Environment Programme, that is UNEP, succeeded in forging an agreement to freeze CFC production at 1986 to reduce ozone depletion. Regardless of these steps, students, still these days ozone depletion is a major environmental problem because it increases the amount of UV radiation to reach Earth's surface. This in turn increases the rate of skin cancer, eye cataracts, and genetic and immune damage. So students, this is one of the effects of our activities on environment. But there is much more to this, which we will see in our next video.